Hi everyone, here's some of us heading your way tonight to your news at 9.
The Joplin Health Board meets for the first time in nearly 2 years. I'm Chris Warner with the latest on the COVID-19 information for the city and what the health department is hoping to focus on in 2021.
No criminal charges will be filed against deputies in the fatal shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. I'm Griff Jenkins in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. I've got the details coming up.
Nick Kelly has weather, Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. It's been nearly 2 years since the Joplin Health Board last met. KOM's Chris Warner was at today's meeting. Has more on the latest COVID-19 information for the city and what the department is focusing on for 2021.
2020 was a challenging year for local health officials, including the Joplin Health Department, which is one of the reasons the Health Board hasn't met for such a long time.
A lot of our projects and focus groups were kind of shelved during the peak of the COVID response time.
But now COVID efforts are shifting with a focus on getting people vaccinated.
I think vaccination's key. We got to continue to offer vaccine, and then if it's being offered, the only way to make it work is for individuals to actually receive it.
Health Department Director Ryan Talkin says they're also shifting vaccine delivery as the number of people coming to vaccine clinics continues to drop by bringing the vaccine to the people.
So we hope that if the vaccine is available in places where the people are, that there could be a spontaneous component to it where an individual hopefully will see the opportunity and then take advantage of that.
The health department will have a booth at the upcoming Third Thursday in downtown offering vaccines to those at the event. Talkin says now the health department can get back to other key health concerns in the community that haven't seen the attention they need.
We are able to begin to shift some of our focus back onto the coalitions and committees.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Talkin says he's hopeful they'll be able to have more vaccine offerings and other events taking place in the community in the near future, including those additional Third Thursday events. As schools in Oklahoma finish up for the year, the state's Department of Education is setting up feeding sites for kiddos during the summer break. Nearly 1,400 feeding sites across the Sooner State will serve kids 2 meals a day free of charge. Kids under 18 years are eligible as people under age 21 in state education programs for the mentally and physically disabled. To find a feeding site near you, we've posted a link on our website. That's KOAMNewsNow.com. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look of the forecast. Another warm day today.
Absolutely, Jordan. It was nice to see that, and a mainly dry day. A nice curveball from Mother Nature after we've been dealing with periods of on and off rain since Friday. A high of 80. We did it with a mainly dry afternoon and the peaks of the sun after we started at 63 this morning. But the Skywatch Storm Tracker has a complex of rain, a couple storms grazing our southern counties, some additional rain, and a couple of thunderstorms in southeast Kansas. This is the trend of more rain chances picking back up again, while any strong to severe storms stay well to the south once again. And as far as temperatures go, Jordan, we're still mild with lower to middle 70s. We'll drop back into the 60s again tonight, and we'll see if we can get a good chance to drought anytime soon coming up in a bit.
All right, Nick, we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you so much. Commerce Oklahoma City Council decides the future of land once owned by baseball legend Mickey Mantle. A dispute over what to do with that land has been brewing since the dissolution of the board that once owned it. The land then went to the city. Since then, the city received a proposal to buy the land to be the site of a future medical marijuana facility. That proposal fell through, and tonight the council voted to approve the sale of the lands to C3 Community Church to develop for kids in the community.
If we can, work and get that developed where the city has a long-term base of money coming in, is the biggest thing that can happen for this community.
C3 Community Church is buying the land for $130,000. Well, a Joplin man is dead from a head-on crash in Carl Junction, Missouri. It happened on 171 north of Gum Road. Investigators say a car driven by 77-year-old Viola Hogg of Carl Junction crossed the center line, hit a car driven by 48-year-old Adam Dillo of Joplin. Dillo was killed. Hogg and a passenger in her car were both taken to the hospital with what police call disabling injuries. Special service was held at the courthouse lawn in Neosho, Missouri today in recognition of Law Enforcement Fallen Officers Week. The service was conducted by the Newton County Sheriff's Office chaplains to honor these officers.
I know the families of the fallen officers appreciate it as well across the United States. They need to be remembered. Most have given their life in the line of duty, and it means a lot to them, I'm sure, as well as their families and those of us remaining that's shown to them.
All the Newton County Police Departments and city officials were invited to today's ceremony. A North Carolina district attorney announced his decision to not file charges against sheriff's deputies in the death of Andrew Brown Jr. Body cam video from the fatal shooting was first shown to the public today. Fox News correspondent Griff Jenkins says more.
Mr. Brown's death, while tragic, was justified.
North Carolina sheriff's deputies were justified in their fatal shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. in April. That's according to the district attorney, Andrew Womble, representing Pasquotank County, who said Brown's actions caused deputies to believe deadly force was necessary.
The law enforcement officers were duty-bound to stand their ground. They could not simply let him go, as has been suggested.
Brown was fatally shot when deputies tried to serve a drug-related arrest warrant. Body cam video displayed for the first time showed officers arriving at Brown's house, surrounding his car, and ordering him to show his hands. Brown's car reverses and turns toward a deputy. Womble says as the car moved forward, a sergeant fired the first shot into the front windshield. The vehicle then moved across a lawn as deputies fired into the back and side of the car before it hit a tree.
The facts in this case demonstrate the presence of apparent danger to the officers. An officer may exercise such force if he believes it to be necessary and has reasonable grounds for such belief.
An independent autopsy commissioned by Brown's family found he was shot 5 times, including a fatal shot to the back of the head. Attorneys for the family who viewed a portion of the body camera video have said Brown posed no threat to deputies.
I would suggest to you that it was absolutely and unequivocally unjustified.
At the federal level, the FBI is currently conducting a civil rights probe into Brown's death. In Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 and Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another one of our 4-state heroes. Jared Worley served in the U.S. Army stationed in Iraq. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Jared Worley, a native of Galena, Kansas. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Nick Kelly's up next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later in sports, the Frontenac Raiders beginning their postseason with a matchup against league rival Riverton.
Tell you what, it's nice when Mother Nature throws us a curveball and it ends up in our favor. That's exactly what happened today. After we had to deal with so much on and off rain since Friday, most of us during the daylight hours were staying mainly dry, and with peaks of the sun, no wonder we made it near 80 degrees this afternoon. So overall, not a bad time lapse from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. And again, it was nice to see that break in the action, especially from late last night through this morning, through this afternoon. Then we saw some random percolating showers and thunderstorms trying to blossom across parts of the area. Again, though, it's nice to see the dry time because we need it after we picked up so far 1.5 inches on average ever since the rain chances ramped up on Friday. So even though, again, it was nice, we are seeing one complex of rain and storms, mainly working across the I-40 corridor in Oklahoma and Arkansas. We're being grazed in our far southern counties by that batch with maybe some light to moderate rain. But so far, any stronger rain or light thunderstorms from about let's say Iola, Humboldt, and then working back to the north of Yates Center. So we're going to hold on to these rain chances overnight. But for Joplin, the time being, you're dry. Mostly cloudy, though. 74 degrees with the southeast breeze at 8, keeping the humidity at 73%. Most of us primarily in the lower 70s, but a few spots like Joplin and Carthage are trying to hold on to 74. So it was nice, again, to get a break in the rain chances, but We're dealing with our own rain chances tonight with the developing showers on the Kansas side, a complex of storms mainly staying to the south. But again, any severe weather staying across Texas as our stubborn frontal system finally starts to lift back to the north. This cold front, this one out west, that wants to head our way by Tuesday. And that's going to give us the better shot for maybe some severe weather, sticking with Doug's pattern, by the time we hit the middle of next week. Upstairs, though, this stubborn upper low. It's been a nuisance to get rid of, but this is finally going to start jetting to the north as we go through the next few days, and that will make a difference as we head toward the weekend. For the rest of the night, though, we'll have the chances for some scattered rain and thunderstorms. Nothing strong, nothing severe expected, but I can't rule out some pockets of heavy rainfall. Let's plan on rain chances for the morning drive, maybe a break by lunchtime, but additional scattered rain and thunderstorms during the afternoon. And because of that and more cloud cover, just a little bit cooler compared to today. 64 in the morning, 73 by noon, highs near 77. Wednesday evening, we'll watch for more rain and thunderstorms. Maybe a break before the morning drive on Thursday, then we'll deal with more scattered rain and thunderstorms. So with just the 2 days of rain chances ahead of us still, maybe another ½ inch to 2.5 inches of rain before, I want to quickly show you this, that upper low, it jets out of here. Look at this upper ridge off to the east, so that starts to influence our weather, and that eats away at our rain chances as we go to the weekend. Not to mention gets highs back in the lower 80s starting Friday. So 77 tomorrow, 78 Friday, scattered thunderstorms Friday, and maybe a few random storms Saturday and Sunday. So it's good that we're dropping the rain chances for the weekend, Jordan, and still not seeing anything severe in the short term.
Good. And you mentioned parts of Texas. They've really gotten hammered, it seemed, recently with the storms.
Goodness, I mean, those storms were just a mess, from the bad hail yesterday to all the flooding.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Unreal. All right, Nate, we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you so much. Coming up, one possible future for infrastructure.
President Biden says electric vehicles are the future and is calling on the country to make the investment now. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington with more on the president's pitch coming up.
President Biden says the future of this country requires investing in electric vehicles. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel is in the nation's capital with the latest on the president's trip to Michigan.
Right now, China is leading in this race.
President Biden says the race is on, but the U.S. is already way behind.
Look, the future of the auto industry is electric. There's no turning back.
His visit to an electric vehicle plant in Michigan, the Biden administration's latest effort to gain support for the president's $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan, including $174 billion for investing in the electric vehicle market. If passed, the plan calls for building 500,000 charging stations by 2030, replacing 50,000 diesel transit vehicles and electrifying at least 20% of the nation's public school bus fleet.
I'm very happy to see the Biden administration put a spotlight on zero-emission vehicles.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants the country to go a step further and says he plans to include a proposal for every American to swap out their gas-guzzling cars for electric ones by 2040.
Through a mixture of credits and investments, it would make electric vehicles affordable for all Americans.
This is a moment that calls for a big investment, a big vision.
Republicans criticize the plan for being too big and argue electric vehicles aren't traditional infrastructure.
The total amount of funding it would direct to roads, bridges, ports, waterways, and airports combined, altogether, adds up to less than what it would spend just on electric cars.
President Biden says he wants to reach a deal that's bipartisan, but says his red line is doing nothing. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Just ahead, our special series, 10 years after the Joplin tornado, continues. Advice for coping with tornado memories and anniversary ceremonies. As we approach the 10th anniversary of the Joplin tornado, for some, May 22nd, 2011 seems like a distant memory. But for survivors and those directly impacted, it's a reminder of one of the worst days of their lives. KOAM's Zach Dodge has how some of them have learned to live with the scars, and a warning, some of the content we're about to show may be disturbing to some viewers.
Mason Lillard remembers it like it was yesterday.
We get a phone call from my aunt that said you guys need to take shelter now. There's a tornado over Joplin. We were in the back seat and we were praying.
She and her cousin Lage were with their grandpa making what was supposed to be a quick stop at Home Depot. She remembers being sucked into the tornado in the backseat of a 1-ton pickup.
I had a 1-inch piece of angle iron go through my right shoulder, break 7 ribs, puncture my lower lung, and come out my back, a 1/4 inch away from my spine, a 1/4 inch away from my liver. He was sucked out of the truck.
My skull split open, so somebody came and held the purse over my head.
Mason needed multiple surgeries, and Lage spent a full year in the hospital, then had to go through rehab. They've both made great strides physically, but the emotional scars remain.
I would have panic attacks, or to the point that if it was raining or whatever, I would not even get in the car.
After a few years, she learned that music helped, helping her tune out what was happening. Now, her dog helps calm that anxiety.
I now can drive if it's storming myself, which is kind of a big overstep from being in a vehicle during the tornado.
For Liz Easton, the tornado anniversary reminds her of what she lost.
I get a little tearful because we lost some really good friends. My daughter, she lost a lot of things, and everyone deals with it differently, but to some it was like a rape. Something took control over them and took something from them. And so we've had a long journey with that.
She says her family has moved past the pain, focusing on the positives that came out of the tragic event and how far the community has come since. But if you haven't come to that point, it doesn't mean you're broken.
Everyone recovers at their pace. There is no shame in something still bothering you after 2 years, 4 years, 10 years. That's okay.
Psychologist Charles Doyle explains anniversaries, memorials, storms, and even weather forecasts can bring back memories from the past trauma. For those who have learned to live with the scars, like Lillard and Easton, it's a reminder of how far they've come instead of just being painful. And he explains that everyone can get to that point.
We can't really recover if we don't engage those things and begin to deal with them and reprocess them and make them to have a healthier meaning for us. And for some, that might mean really engaging it purposefully. That might mean going to a memorial service, or go to a gravesite, or go to the property site where you were. Or it might mean that you read some things about it or journal about it, and just sort of make it better in your own heart and your own mind.
Lillard and Easton both say what helps them is focusing on the positives and continuing to push forward.
The journey has gone on, and I wouldn't want to do it again, but I appreciate what we've taken from it.
You're not alone, and don't be afraid, because it's not fully your battle. It's also God's battle of what He wants to do for you.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
We've put more tips from Dr. Doyle on ways to cope with past trauma on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. And most importantly, if you are still struggling, many people are, do not feel ashamed to reach out to someone for help. Tomorrow, as we continue our countdown to the tornado anniversary, we have an update on KCU construction and look at how the Mercy temporary location influenced the construction of the new medical school. That's tomorrow on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. All right, how about a snack, huh? How about some pickle hard seltzer to go with that snack? Huh? More on this when we come back. In a pickle, trying to conjure up the perfect summer drink? Well, Brewmate's got your back. At least that's what they say in a way. I don't know. Brewmate is fulfilling its promise and releasing the so-called world's first pickle hard seltzer. The company initially posted a picture of a hard pickle 12-pack on its Instagram back on April 1st, meant as an April Fool's joke. Brewmate is now partnering with Crook & Marker to make the spiked seltzer a reality, though. Two companies report each can will contain 5% alcohol, 100 calories. Now, only 10,000 12-packs will be produced, though. Should hit store shelves sometime this summer. I like pickle-flavored potato chips. I like salt and vinegar chips. I like ketchup-flavored chips. But that, though, I don't know. Seems like a sleepless night, if you know what I mean. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to catch up with some local nurses who visited Michigan to help with a spike in COVID-19 cases there. Also, how different charitable organizations teamed up, hoping to make a difference in poverty. May is National Moving Month, and the Better Business Bureau is warning consumers about moving company scams. According to the BBB, more than $230,000 were lost in the U.S. last year due to fraudulent moving companies. The Bureau says to always check a company's website, get everything in writing, and keep an inventory of your belongings.
I had a man recently in Joplin tell me he was sleeping on a sleeping bag, and he didn't have any of his winter clothes because he moved here from California. And it was, we had, of course, that April snowstorm that was kind of random, and he didn't think he needed anything, so he had it all like packed up. But then the company was late in delivering it. So he was out of all of his winter clothes, he was freezing, and here it was really cold in April.
You can find complaints filed by consumers about certain companies at bbb.org. Last month, 14 nurses from Ascension Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh deployed to Michigan to help hospitals there battle a spike in COVID-19 cases. Well, those nurses are back home now. While it sounds like a great thing that they did out of their way to do, they say it's just part of their duty.
Very, very, very gracious for the help and to teach, because that world is a little different than my world in a clinic versus working in a hospital in ICU. But it was a great experience.
The nurses volunteered to work in ICUs or inpatient facilities across Michigan. Area students got a history lesson, pretty cool one, at the site of a Civil War battle site. The Sherwood Raider Farm Civil War Park in Jasper County, Missouri hosted a free event to educate students and the public about a battle that happened there back in 1863. Today's event was special because May 18th is the anniversary of that battle. Charitable organizations gathered in Joplin today for an event about addressing poverty. The True Charity Summit was hosted at Joplin's Forest Park Church. Organizers say it features leading voices in charity in the U.S. to share their experience in combating poverty in their communities. Casualties are mounting in Gaza, fueling a growing humanitarian crisis as the Israeli military and Hamas militants attack each other. Meanwhile, in Washington, there are several debates among lawmakers over U.S. foreign assistance to Israel and whether the Biden administration should call for a ceasefire. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest from D.C.
On Tuesday, Palestinians in Israel and the occupied West Bank joined together to protest against the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza and the looming evictions of Palestinians in East Jerusalem. Some progressive Democrats have expressed sympathy for the Palestinian cause, even calling into question a proposed $735 million arms sale that the Biden administration approved for Israel.
I don't think this is the right time to be sending more military equipment without a real guarantee of a ceasefire.
The sentiment creating rifts within the party. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says in a statement, Israel is our friend and ally in the Middle East with whom we have shared values.
Israel has a right to protect its citizens.
Israel says it's defending itself from Hamas rockets and is targeting militant underground tunnels and homes. The Biden administration now facing criticism from Republicans and Democrats as the number of casualties grow. On Monday, the president expressed support for a ceasefire, garnering mixed reactions.
These calls for a ceasefire are tantamount to Hamas propaganda. We cannot allow Hamas to fire thousands of rockets and missiles into Israel and then to run back into its tunnels and say, oh, we need a ceasefire.
The White House says they're doing a lot of work behind the scenes.
There's been more than 60 calls, including 3 calls the president had with Prime Minister Netanyahu and our team.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says they've also received more information regarding Israel's strike on a building that housed the Associated Press and Al Jazeera in Gaza, but did not share that information. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
A bit later, the growing trend of renovating prisons.
Empty prisons across the country are being reimagined as areas for community development. I'm Jackie Ibanez with more on why prisons are shutting down and what's going up in their place. Straight ahead.
It was nice to see quite a bit of dry time actually today. A nice change of pace after we've been dealing with waves of on and off rain ever since Friday as our previous weekend got started. We can see peaks of the sun too from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, and across a good portion of the area. This is what allowed us to go into the upper 70s and actually push near 80 degrees this afternoon. So it was nice that the Skywatch Storm Tracker didn't have much to track this morning and for much of the day. But as the evening got underway, we did see some percolating rain and thunderstorms in spots. Again, it was nice to see that dry time because we need it. Considering since Friday we picked up 1.5 inches on average in terms of rainfall, but needless to say, heavier amounts certainly where the waves of moderate to heavy rainfall developed and worked on through. Even though we were quiet for much of the day, once the evening got underway, we did notice some scattered rain and storms on the Kansas side and a complex of storms keeping it of the strongest across central parts of Arkansas, but we're getting grays from about, let's say Loma Linda, Miami, back down to the Missouri-Arkansas line. That's just light to moderate rain. But on the Kansas side, that's where the stronger returns on the radar are. We've got one shower working over Girard and from Moran, and then to the north of Iola and Yates Center. That's where the heaviest of the rainfall is now, and these are rain chances that will be around as we go through the rest of the night. 74 in Joplin, mostly cloudy, but you are dry downtown and at Joplin Regional. Most of us are sitting between 70 and 74 degrees, but we do see a few upper 60s popping up already around Iola and Fort Scott. A good hint that everyone will drop back into the 60s overnight. Again, another day where we dodge any severe weather while parts of the deep south, including Texas, are having to deal with it once again. Our frontal system finally starting to lift back to the north. That will keep us warm going into the rest of the week. This cold front, that's going to work in and try to bring in better chances for maybe strong to severe storms starting next Tuesday. And in the upper levels, it's this stubborn upper level low. It's going to finally get the hint and start lifting to the north as we go through the next few days. In the meantime, it's going to keep the cloud cover, the scattered rain, and some scattered storms at times throughout the overnight and into your Wednesday morning as lows hold tight in the lower to middle 60s. And then maybe a little break for some around lunchtime, but the rain and the thunderstorm chances will continue throughout the day. Couple that with the clouds, we're warm again, but not quite as warm as today. 64 in the morning, 73 by noon, highs near 77. We'll deal with rain and thunderstorm chances Wednesday night, maybe a break by Thursday morning, then another wave of rain and thunderstorms going into the rest of our Thursday. So just again, within the next 2 days, anywhere from 1/2 inch to maybe 2.5 inches, maybe some locally heavier spots depending on how the heavier pockets of rain will track through. 77 tomorrow, 78 Thursday. We'd start dropping off on the rain chances once we start the weekend though. Highs back near 80, 81 Saturday and Sunday with maybe a few random storms. Most of the weekend thankfully is looking dry. Again, we'll focus on any severe threats until the middle of next week. So thankfully, Jordan, we're going to drop the rain chances going to the weekend and thankfully nothing severe.
Lots of changes trying to happen though. It's something.
Absolutely.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Coming up in sports, the Missouri Class 5 District 6 baseball tournament kicking off with Webb City taking on Parkview. Plus, Frontenac softball looks to advance in the postseason as they match up against Riverton.
Well, tonight is championship night at the 3A Regional Baseball Tournament in Columbus. After 2 semifinal games earlier today, Frontenac and Columbus are the only 2 teams left standing. Now, the winner of this one claims a regional championship and moves on to the 3A state tournament. Columbus up 1-0 until Alex Williams pulls it into the left field corner. That scores Colin McCartney and Mario Mangini. Raiders have their first lead, but Columbus rallies back in the 6th. Brett Hamilton back up the middle. RBI single. Titans get 3 in the inning to go up 4-2. So that's it, right? Do you know anything about these Raiders? Bottom 7, Logan Myers with 2 on. Huge hit for the sophomore. That'll score 2 to tie the game up. Myers into 3rd for the triple. Then bases loaded for Colin McCartney. Check it out. Grounder to 3rd. 1 out there, but McCartney beats the throw to 1st. Myers scores. And that's it. Walk-off win for Frontenac. The Raiders are going to state, beating Columbus 5-4.
I was like, come on, get there. But what a great at-bat he had. I mean, he went up there, had a job to do, and he got it done. From day one, that's what I wanted for those guys. They're a great group of guys, and I wanted them to get a chance to go and experience the state tournament. And we're super excited to go.
The Webb City Cardinals kick off the Class 5 District 6 tournament at home today against Parkview. The Cardinals are 24-5 heading into the playoffs and won 10 straight to close out the regular season. Now, the winner of this one moves on to the district semifinals tomorrow night. Bottom of the first, Matt Woodmansee with a chopper to second. Tregan Parker will score on that. Cards up 1. Later, good effort out there in center on the hit. Matt Woodmansee comes around third and comes home. Cards lead by 2 after 2 complete. Bottom of the third, Shane Knoll drives it deep to center. This turns into a triple, and it brings in Devin Weathers. Webb City extends the lead to 4. Hayden Brock, later, check it out, gets all of this one, sends it over the fence and left for the 3-run homer. Webb City wins at 7-2. They'll face McDonald County in the district semifinals. Also in the Class 5 District 6 tournament, Carl Junction gets a 6-1 win over Neosho. And with that, CJ now moves on to face Glendale in the semifinals on Wednesday. The Frontenac Raiders kick off the postseason today in the 3A Regional Softball Tournament. And the Raiders went 16-4 in the regular season, earning the #1 seed in the bracket. Frontenac up against CNC rival Riverton in the regional quarterfinals. Pick it up second inning, Caitlin Hayslip lifts it deep to left center, up and out for the solo homer. Raiders go up 2-0 after 2. Now in the second inning, Mia Brown with the runner on. Brown gets a hold of one, dead center for the 2-run shot. Raiders score the first 5 runs of the day. In the 6th, though, Riverton not going away. Olivia Parker up the middle. That'll bring home Morgan Compton. The 8th-seeded Rams make Frontenac work for it, but the Raiders hold on to move on 5-3.
Yeah, it's survive and advance, and I think that's just what we did today. Early in the game, we were real confident out on defense. I thought we were confident in the box, and as the game moved on, I thought we started getting a little tight offensively, in the circle and in the box, and and they were loose. They didn't have anything to lose, and they came out here and played a great game against us, and we're moving on, and that's what's important.
Same bracket, Girard and Baxter Springs going at it in the quarterfinals. Emmeline Seneca, huge game here in the second. Hammers a 3-run homer to center. Girard jumps out to a 4-0 lead after 1. To the third now, Seneca at the plate again, and check it out. Emmeline Seneca, her second homer of the game, puts Girard up 5-0. That was all Trojans all day, bases loaded. Look at the execution here. Bailey Troike, squeeze bunt. Michaela Osmus scores. Girard came to play today. Trojans move on to face Frontenac tomorrow, 10-0 in 5. Other side of the bracket, big win for Galena, 16-1 over Caney Valley. Same story for Columbus, 15-1 over Cherryville. Galena and Columbus meet in the regional semifinals tomorrow afternoon. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
The number of prisons in America is on the decline, and so are the number of prisoners. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more on why some prisons are now shutting down and how communities are working to transform those empty spaces into new locations while promoting prison reform.
Prisons across the country have been closing down. According to the Associated Press, between 2011 to 2016, at least 94 state facilities shut their doors. The reasons ranging from smaller budgets to lower rates of crime. Now prison reform advocates are urging communities to breathe new life into the empty spaces.
Prison closures and repurposing them for other uses, particularly community uses, offers an opportunity to stretch the public's imagination that doesn't rely on imprisonment.
So far, several prisons, including ones in Florida and North Carolina, have already been transformed into homeless shelters. Meanwhile, this former prison in Staten Island, New York, is now a television and movie set. Previously, scenes for Orange is the New Black and Ocean's 8 were filmed here, each generating hundreds of jobs.
I think the community is happy that we got it and we cleaned it out.
Advocates say while it's important to reimagine what former prisons can be, it's also important to talk about prison reform.
Repurposing them for non-incarceration uses, non-imprisonment uses, is part of a through line that opens up new possibilities for decarceration coalitions.
And even more prisons could be closing in the future. The U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics says the number of Americans in prison has fallen by 17% in the last decade. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
When we come back, gonna check out some last goodbyes to Fox's Last Man Standing. Time to say goodbye to Fox's Last Man Standing. We spoke with stars Tim Allen and Nancy Travis about the big finale. Plus, they shared what they kept from the set and how proud they are of this long-running series. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
How could somebody steal a truck that quickly?
On Last Man Standing's series finale, Mike's beloved truck goes missing and the family gathers to say goodbye. A little art imitating life as the cast says farewell to the long-running show.
Hardy, our prop guy, said, which of these did you want to take? And there was pictures of the family from the hallway that was going away. I walked in and looked at Nancy and I literally, I'm surprised I got through that scene. She really looked at me, are you okay? And I was not okay.
Nature of what we do. I mean, but this job in particular, we just all form such close bonds and relationships.
Tim, you had mentioned mementos, and I was curious if you did take something, but then I also saw the truck. Did the truck go back to where its home is?
Yeah, I've literally owned that truck for about 25 years. I have so much from this set. I had them build me models of the set. Well, I've got all these pictures of the cast and I haven't put them up because it's a bit too soon still to me.
And as season 9 wraps at 194 episodes, Tim Allen and Nancy Travis are very proud of the Baxters.
I've done this a lot. I've never been more impressed with camera, directing, crew, lighting, sound, and a staff, no conflict of egos.
We just tried to portray a family and the nuances of a family and the relationships within a family. To be able to bring that into somebody's living room every single week is pretty incredible.
All right, guys, quietly on stage. The 1-hour Last Man Standing finale airs Thursday on Fox. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of animals at a zoo in Peru enjoying some grub. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.